Hey guys, welcome to day one of AP Art History. I'm sorry that I am not there, but I will be coming back in the first week in September. But until I come back, I kind of did a few videos for you guys so that you aren't behind. I wanted to go over a few things on the first day. I did not print out a syllabus for you guys. I will give it to you once I come back the day after Labor Day, so I'll be back September 5th. I'm going to put it on eCampus, but I am locked out of eCampus until I'm not on maternity leave. So when I finish, my leave, I will upload it and you guys will be able to check. eCampus, I will also have up and running once I come back. And on eCampus, you guys will be able to look at lessons or any PowerPoints that I give you guys in class. They will be on there. So you're only going to go through about one PowerPoint or two without me. So once we get back, I'll make sure I upload it all and you guys will always have that accessible to you. For my class, you guys need to get 3x5 note cards, and those are going to be for you to paste your images on, and you're going to use these all year. So technically you're going to need 250, but you can just buy a couple packages to get you started. You also need a folder. It doesn't have to be a prong folder. It doesn't really matter. The cheapest folder you can find, and that's just to put worksheets that we do in class, essays, any quizzes I give you. I'll give them back to you and you can kind of store everything in there. In addition to me giving you lectures, you guys can always go on Khan Academy. Under AP Art History, they have every single image that we're going to learn in class, and they will either have a write-up about the image or they have a video that you can watch. Sometimes we'll watch them in class if I think they're really important, but we'll do that as the year progresses. In class, you also are going to have quizzes and essays. We'll probably have a quiz about every 2 weeks. It's going to be where you'll need to know different information about index cards that we do in class. And the first one will go over extensively what you need to know. You're not going to have your first quiz until after I come back. It'll probably be that Friday that I come back from my leave. And I will make sure that you guys know everything that's on there. We'll even go over the first quiz together so you guys can understand how I create quizzes. Essays, once I come back, you'll have one every week. We do it in class. It's usually on Wednesdays. It's kind of like our short day thing to do. And that's to prepare you for the essays that are on the AP exam. In this class, we're going to have a lot of controversial content, okay, especially based on different artists and the artwork that they create. There are also various religion and religious aspects into many of the images that we're going to look into in class. So I just want you to be aware of that ahead of time. It's not my feelings or the school's feelings about religion or certain content. I'm just teaching you what you need to know for the AP exam. Also, every year we go on a field trip. Last year we went to the Dali Museum. We went also to the St. Pete Fine Arts Museum, and we went to the Chihuly Museum, got to see his work, and did a glass blowing demonstration. So we're going to do that sometime in the first semester. When I get back to school, I'm going to set that up. We usually go during a school day, and we're gone for the entire day. So we usually leave by 7, and we're back by 3 or 4. I also will be giving you in September when I come back a policy page. That's for you and your parents to sign because some of the videos, movies, or information that we learn in class are R-rated, so not something that you would generally watch in a class. So I ask that your parents be aware ahead of time and sign off saying that it's okay for you to watch these videos. Everything that we would watch that's R-rated has to do directly with the class. It's not like we're watching an R-rated movie on Netflix. It always has to do with AP Art History, but sometimes the content is R-rated, and that's why I want your parents to know ahead of time. You won't be doing any of that before I come back, so I will give that to you in September. All right, moving on. So if you guys could get out a piece of paper or even use a piece of printer paper from my art room, I'm going to go through some big ideas and essential questions that you need to know for the class. I'm also going to show you what your index card is going to look like. Now, if you look to the left of my projector screen, I have a poster that shows what you're going to put on each index card. It doesn't have to look exactly like my example, but that's kind of to help you along the way at the beginning before you get used to writing all the notes for each image. You can also look at the themes, which is the next poster, and each image that we look at, you're going to put under a theme, which will help you when we get to essays. Now, at the beginning of even the first semester, I'll help you each time we go through. Once we start images, after I give you all the content about the image, then I will pause and I will kind of ask you guys, oh, what did you put for each section? And of course, we'll go over this again once I return. So, AP College Board wants you to know this about each image. So if you look up here, the big idea. Okay, each image that we look at, you're going to want to know what is art and how is it made. Okay, you need to know what are the components of the work of art. So that's why each image you're going to tell me the form, function, content, and context, which is on that poster board on to the left. Okay, you also need to know how the materials or the technique or shape the look and the meaning of the piece of art. So this has to do with the artist. And it identifies decisions in the function and look of the materials. You also need to know how does the context influence their decision. Okay, so we're going to look at how it influenced the form, function, content, context, which is what you're going to have on your sheet. Okay, and it also may be geographic or historical or cultural. So sometimes when we're looking at an image by an artist, we're not just going to look at what they're doing, we're going to look at what other artists or other people are doing during that time period. You also need to be able to analyze the components, okay, so to try to look sometimes at the intention of the artist, because we're not always going to know the function, especially when we look at prehistoric art, which is our first section. Sometimes we're going to have to imply what we think this was made for. So, if we're looking at big idea 1, what is art and how is it made? This is a image that we're going to look at in the spring. Okay, in this image, they put these gates through New York City. Okay, and it's supposed to be an installation, something that you have to walk through. Okay, and since this is a contemporary piece of art, we have to look as, you know, art historians, that why was this made? What was it, the intention of the piece? Okay, so that's what you're looking for in that type of question. Okay, another, what is art and how is it made? This is the standard of error. We're going to look at this about midway through the year. Okay, and here we find out that the artist ended up trying to show us the procession and what would happen during that time period. This procession would be for the king, and they're bringing offerings to him, okay? And it was made out of lapis and different shells, so that's how we're figuring out what it was made, and those are usually materials that were found in that area, okay? This is a sample example of what your index card will look like. I know it looks like there's a lot. You really won't have this much, but I tried to be thorough. So you're going to look at the jungle. Okay, and if you look at this image, you can either on your index card put the picture just on one side or put the picture and your notes on the same side. It's totally up to you in how it will make it easy for you to study these images. I personally like putting the picture and the name of the image, like right here, 142, Wilfredo Lamb, The Jungle, 1940. I would write all this on the front with my image, and then I would put the form, function, content, context, themes, and terms on the back. It makes it very easy to use as a study guide. So if we're looking at this picture, okay, the content is showing us that it's a transformation of humans, animals. They even say that sometimes there are scissors. We are looking at post-colonialism, okay, which is an oblique reference to the history of slavery in Cuba. Okay, context is a person painted upon his return to his homeland after years in Spain and France. It shows almost a jungle-like or plantation landscape. You can tell that by the greens here. Okay, and it was shown in New York City in 1943. Now, themes, this, as I told you earlier, is going to help you with essays. If you look up on the board, I have a list of themes. It's not exclusively those, but those are just to help you fill out your index card. Okay, for form, we're going to look into surrealism, cubism, even the vegetative forms that suggest sugar cane or bamboo, and you can see that right here on the sides, even in the middle of the picture. Dense, ambiguous space, fragmented geometry, and nature. The function, we think, is a large painting created at a time in which Lamb is illustrating many texts related to surrealism. Okay, and so that is all these isms that I'm discussing right now. Of course, you don't know, but as we go through the class, we will discuss what they mean, and those are really good to have on your index card. Then terms. Each time we get new terms in class, I will try to stop, make sure you're aware of the term. You can add that to your note card. And it makes it really easy when you're writing essays to use those terms to help justify your explanation. Okay, so even when we start prehistoric art before I come back, I'll make sure that I stop, tell you when it's a new term, and give you the definition. Okay? Now, another essential question is art making is shaped by tradition and change. So the essential question is why and how does art change? It describes features of tradition and change in work of art. It explains how and why specific traditions and changes are demonstrated in work, such as materials, audience, patrons, travel, trade, training, conquest, religions, political, and economic as well. You also are analyzing the influence of a work or work of art and related to that piece. So, why and how does art change? So, we just went over this image. If we go back here, okay, we're looking at the function. They believe that Lamb was trying to illustrate surrealism. Okay, he was also trying to show the history of slavery in Cuba. So that helps us realize, oh, and then they talked about the bamboo and it looking like nature. So he's trying to show how it's changed over time. Okay, obviously the surrealist or abstract looking painting was not how things started. Before this time period, images would be very realistic. So he's trying to show another way of explaining a piece of art. Okay, then we have big question number 3. How do we describe our thinking about art? So identifying a work of art, giving the title, the artist, the culture, and the media date. We're also analyzing how formal qualities and content elicit responses. How does the analysis lead to different interpretations? You're also justifying an attribution or unknown work of art. And you're analyzing work of art based on similarities and differences to other works. Okay, so how do we describe our thinking about art? So if we look at these two pictures, they are a methodology of social history, patronage, artist, audience. Okay, so we have this image by Grunwald. And to us, what do we think about this picture? Based on what the artist created, okay, you're using your own brain to come up with, oh, this is what I think the artist was trying to show me. Okay, if we look over here, you're also trying to think about how it's called the Nikisi Nkundi, and what the artist was trying to portray to the audience. Okay, so this is where we really get in our own personal thoughts and try to see if it's similar to the artist or not. Okay, we're going to start with this in prehistoric art, this is one of our first images. Okay, so for the prehistory and history, we want to look at what was this historical time period. What does history record? What gets erased or forgotten from history, and who gets to tell the story? So here, we're assuming that people that lived in the caves are trying to tell us a story about what they saw and where they lived. Okay, we also have this woman here who is bringing all the, and this is Liberty leading the people. Okay, and she is leading all of these men, which is a huge thing. Okay, and we also see that she is a hieratic scale where she's bigger than everybody else, so she's the most important. She's also carrying the flag, so we get to see what the artist is trying to tell us. Okay, here's another image. Okay, you can see how she saw him despair by the river. They asked her to tell what happened, only to discount her memory. Okay, and this is called The Water Bearer by Lorna Simpson. So just another way that to look at history through picture and text. Okay, how is history recorded? Here we have the Lukasa. Okay, it's a memory board. So to most of us, we would look at this and say, oh, these are all this little bead work, and we have some line work inside the memory board. But actually, in Africa, this is used to tell a story about your family. Now, if you go to Africa, you can buy these memory boards, but they will not tell you what is happening in the memory board. So they're not going to give you the story. This is their own family heritage story, and you can only be told if you live there. Or you can be told by a family member that is of high social status. So the men of the family, if they have a memory board, and they can choose to tell you their family story, and they will do so by touching different beads on the board. Okay, other ways to look at how history is recorded. This is the Vietnam Memorial. Okay, and so Maya Ling created this. This is all the names of people, and we'll go over this image. This is also another image where we have text and how they're recording how you would go to heaven. Okay, we also have jewelry, and depending on what the jewelry was made out of, sometimes that's going to tell us the history of that culture. Okay, why is history recorded? Okay, we're going to learn about this image called the shibboleth, and it's supposed to be a crack down the central station. Okay, so here they're trying to show us how we know whether someone is within our same religious bounds. So we'll watch this little video about the shibboleth and what it means. But basically, you're trying to tell if someone is really bluffing about their religion or if they really are involved. So this Doris was trying to show us how we veer based on the crack of the shibboleth. Okay, so are we all going one way or the other, or are we separated by our religion? Okay, we also have Kara Walker, and she tells a story. Okay, and all of hers are based on her African American heritage. Some get very vulgar, but the ones we look at in class are, you know, at least PG-13. But she does the same thing every time. She always does these silhouette images, black. Okay, she puts them up on a wall, and then sometimes she'll add color like we see here. And this is an installation. Okay, she's trying to show us what she believes, according to her heritage, has been forgotten. Okay, and she wants to make sure, because she feels that it should be worth remembering and something that others might not talk about, but she believes it needs to be a subject matter that is, you know, prominent. So that's what she focuses her installations on. So she's always telling a story with the silhouettes that she puts on installation walls. Okay, so again, on your note card, okay, and you can split this in half. I don't care in what order it's in, as long as these things are on the back of each note card. Form, function, content, context, themes, and terms. Now, sometimes you won't have a term. You might not have anything new. That's fine. You will always have at least 1 or 2 themes based on what's up on that wall. Okay, so here's another example that we'll look at in class. Okay, you can see form, what it's made out of, okay, the function, the themes, the context, and the content. Okay, and terms that we might go over in class. Okay, another one as well, form, function, themes, content, context, terms. All right, so if you need to go back at all during that PowerPoint, please just hit pause and revert back. And what we'll do is, after I go through theme comparisons and elements of design, then you'll do your first index card. So you have a little bit before we're going to try this, and I'll make sure that in my videos that we stop and you get to read through everything and understand how to break down a card before I just let you loose. Okay, thank you.